Live, going live, going live, going live, going live, and we're live. Welcome everybody to another episode of the Cody Miller Show, the ultimate swimming related show here on the internet. I'm your host, Cody Miller. Thank you guys for joining me today as we talk about all things in the world of swimming. That's training, that's racing, that's current time standards, that's current world rankings, that's meets coming up, that's everything you guys want to talk about. This is a show where I take viewers' topics submitted to me. If you guys want to get a topic on the show, submit your question to thecodymillershow@gmail.com. That's thecodymillershow@gmail.com. Send in your topic and please leave whatever topic you want discussed in the subject line so that I know what you guys want to talk about, because I get hundreds of emails. Okay, so last week's show, not so great. I know my audio was really bad. Everyone in the chat room right now, could you please let me know if my audio is okay? I've got this little thingy. It's supposed to block the wind every time I say something loud. And it's supposed to make my audio sound a little bit more clear. And I'm doing a better job of trying to stay close to the mic, so it's all good. So hopefully this is a better quality show. Good. I'm here. It's looking like it's sounding good. People are saying it's good in the chat room. Okay, cool. Thank you guys so much. All right, so once again, submit your topics to that email that I sent before, or if you'd like to get one of my quick fire questions at the end of the show, when I post a picture on Instagram, make sure you guys are following me on social media at SwimMiller on Twitter and at Cody Miller on Instagram. When I ask for questions there, submit them there. That's how you get them on the show. And without further ado, I think that's pretty much it off the top. Let's get started with our main topics today. And we're going to get started with, obviously, the title of this video. Our first question comes to us today from Edvin, who says, "Hi, Cody. Love your vlogs. Keep it up." Smiley face. Thank you. Now that you're ranked in the top 16 in the world in both the 100 and the 200, will you get that extra money because of it? How does the awesome swim at the Tier Pro Series motivate you going forward into the next Olympics? Okay, so thank you very much. I appreciate it. Thank you for the question. It's a great question. So I'm going to take this question to address a question that I get a lot, which is how Olympic swimmers, particularly American swimmers, make their money. And I will address one subsect of that by explaining what happened to me last year. So last year, I had a pretty bad injury and I did not swim well. I had a poor season. And because of that, at the end of the year, at the end of the season that the U.S. Olympic Committee says that the date, when that time came, I was not in the top 16 in the world. And so I did not qualify for funding. And now, as the viewer has said in his email, I'm now currently ranked in the top 16 and should maintain that ranking through the remainder of the year. So he's asking, will I now get that money that I didn't get last year? So let me explain to you what that money is, where that comes from, what all of that means, because I get asked this a lot. And by the way, all of this is available online for everyone who wants to know. You can see all of these guidelines and all these standards that USA Swimming puts out on their website. But basically what I'm talking about is it's called APA, which is Athlete Partnership Agreement, which is given to all United States swimmers. Essentially, if you're ranked in the top 16 at the world, at the end of the season, typically the cutoff date is like late August, early September, maybe like September 1st. If by September 1st, you're top 16 in the world, you qualify for funding. And that funding, I believe, comes from the United States Olympic Committee, but also from donations. I believe it comes from donors to USA Swimming. So like basically to pay salaries for Olympic swimmers, it comes from donations. And so to qualify, you have to be ranked. Every year, it's usually top 16 in the world. Some years it's top 14, even some years prior to the Olympic year. So like, I believe in 2011, before 2012, it was top 12 in the world. And I'm pretty sure before 2016, it was also top 12 in the world. But as of right now, it's top 16 and you qualify for funding. And basically what that means is you get a salary of essentially roughly $40,000 to commit to training as your primary job. Basically, in return for your training for the United States and being on the U.S. national team and being ranked that well, you have a certain number of obligations. They require a certain number of appearances. And that could be a whole list of things. Whatever USA Swimming designates you to do, you are required to do those things. So a lot of times it's doing a Make a Splash Foundation event. It's going to a banquet and giving a speaking event, and then interacting with kids and giving a clinic, giving back to community, a lot of community service. But there are a lot of things that we have to do outside of just training to receive that funding. And it's usually nice things like charitable work, which is great. But to answer the viewer's question, as long as me or any other swimmer is ranked in the top 16 in an Olympic event, so any event that's swam in the Olympics, so like the 50 fly, the 50 breast, those don't count because they're not Olympic events. You can be the fastest 50 butterflyer in the world and ranked #1 in the world, and you would not qualify for that segment of funding because they only take Olympic events, because it's basically for training for the Olympics. And that's basically how it works. So if you're top 16, you qualify for that funding. And so to answer the viewer's question, yes, as long as I maintain that ranking or improve upon my ranking, I will receive that funding once again, which feels quite nice because it was quite a blow last summer. And to give you guys context of kind of how that happened, basically I started having knee injuries around February of last year. And that bled all the way into August, where I wasn't training at a high level, so therefore I wasn't competing at a high level, and I was never able to put up a time that put me top 16 in the world. And the terrible thing about that is I swam great in December. Like I went lifetime best times in December, but it was short course. So here in the United States, our swimming schedule is typically from about September to December is typically the short course season. So short course yards, short course meters, whatever. And then after that, we move into the long course season. So January to August is primarily long course, with the exception of if you're a high school swimmer or a collegiate swimmer, you do short course pretty much up until March, because March is when the big championship seasons are. But if you're a pro like me on the national team, long course season is basically January till August. And I just so happened to be pretty much injured for that entire duration where I never swam well enough to qualify for funding. And that sucked. And not to go off on an even further tangent, but when I failed, I knew at U.S. Nationals that it was basically my last shot to put up a time. Summer of 2018, U.S. Nationals. It was my last opportunity to put up a time that would be top 16 in the world that would qualify me for that funding. Oh, and it's back. And we're good. Almost lost it. But not only did I swam poorly because I was hurt and because I hadn't trained well, I lost that funding. And on top of that, I also had 3 big sponsors, all of which were up for renegotiations within the coming months, all of which were tied to performances and world ranking bases. And so like all of a sudden that went out the window. So I could sit here and tell you the story of how, in a nutshell, I lost $100,000 in one race, essentially. So like I lost basically what could be perceived as my entire year's salary in one race. I don't make a ton of money. Like most Olympic swimmers do not make a ton of money. But at that moment in my life, I was like, oh my God, like this is just, it's devastating, because most U.S. national team swimmers, in a sense, live paycheck to paycheck and don't have lots and lots of money and don't have lots of sponsors. So it's tough. But yes, I should be qualifying for that funding again. As long as you're, it's tricky. Like it's really tricky. As long as you're able to perform and do well, you don't have to worry about that. But it just so happens that I went through that. I've been down the route. So a lot of times people ask me, what's it like to go through tough times? Have you ever struggled? Have you ever done through this? Have you ever been through this or that? And the answer is yes. All of those things. Like I know what it's like to basically, in a matter of 60 seconds, I mean, it's more than that, but I could tell you the story in a way that in a matter of 60 seconds, I lost it all. And that's brutal. I'll go into that more later. Thank you very much for the question. And our next question of the day comes to us from Rachel from California. And Rachel asks, doubles. Her topic is double days. So basically two training sessions a day is what I think you mean. And your email says, hi, Cody. I have heard mixed feelings, especially from parents, about double days. And a club recently made a new rule about meeting time requirements for morning swim practice. What are your thoughts? Are double days dangerous? When does it become too much? Love the show / channel. Thanks, Rachel. Okay, thank you for the question. Very much appreciate it. Yeah, so this is another question that I get asked a lot. I get asked a lot about when do I know if I'm overtraining? Am I overtraining? Are my kids being overtrained? Are we doing too much? When do you know when to stop? And the brutal answer is, I don't know, because everyone is different. I cannot give a definitive answer. I can only speak from my experience, okay? And my experience is going to be different from your experience, different from your kids' experience. Everything's going to be different. So let me just speak from my experience. I grew up swimming for a club team, the Sandpipers of Nevada, coached by Ron Aiken, a club team where from a young age, we were doing doubles. And from a young age, I was doing 9, 10 swim workouts a week, 8, 9, 10 swim workouts a week, plus weights. And so we were training a lot. And there were a lot of people and a lot of coaches who would look at that and say, man, that's unnecessary, or man, that's too much, or you're overtraining those kids. Those things could be said. I choose to look at it as that training in high school and doing all those doubles, even at 14, 15, 16 years old. I mean, I was basically training an Olympic load at that age in terms of volume and intensity and all of those things. I mean, it gave me a couple of things. Definitely mental toughness. It taught me a lot about being mentally tough and about pushing through things. And I think in the sport of swimming, you need to do that. It also taught me, or it didn't just teach me, it also gave me a really big aerobic base that I'm still living off of to this day. So because I put in years of doing 400 IMs and years of swimming the mile and years of doing sets that a lot of coaches would say are ridiculous and are too much and might overwork your kids, I've got this giant aerobic capacity that I still rely on, and I can train well because of that. So for me, were there times in my career when I was overtrained? Yes, but it's nearly impossible to know when that is. And my feelings on doubles, my feelings on training hard for young kids is that you should be doing those things. I do believe in doing doubles in high school. I do believe in swimming what some people would consider to be a lot. But that's not to say that there aren't other ways of doing things that don't also yield lots of success. The IU sprint coach, Coley Stickles, who just took a coaching job in Alabama, before he was a college coach, he coached a club team in California. And all of his club swimmers did relatively low volume. And they did a lot of singles where they didn't do doubles. And I know other club teams that only do singles, and they have success. And they have swimmers that make junior nationals. They have swimmers that swim fast. And so there's two sides of the coin. And I will say that it is my personal belief that the teams that tend to to grind, the teams that tend to train hard, and the teams that tend to have parents and some coaches that look at them and say, what they're doing is too much, it's hard on those kids, blah, 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 all those things, they may or may not be right or wrong. Like, I'm not judging what they're saying, but I think that the teams that have those things said about them oftentimes have the most results. I think oftentimes the teams where other teams are pointing to them and saying they're overtraining kids, they're doing way too much, they could do things better, those are probably the teams with the most Olympic trial qualifiers. Those are probably the teams with the most junior national qualifiers. Those are probably the teams that are winning state. And now I'm not saying one way is right or one way is wrong. I grew up in an environment where I grinded, I did 10 400 IMs. I did the mile every year. I trained hard, and I turned out to be an Olympic 100-meter breaststroker, a sprinter through and through. I am straight up a legit sprinter. And yet I, to this day, can jump in some of the distance group and do the 400 IM set with the 400 IMers here at Indiana. So, but everyone is different. There certainly are people who could not do those things. Like, let me take my best friend and roommate in college, my roommate James Wells, who was one of the fastest collegiate swimmers in college. He was swam for Team USA and multiple international teams. We went to World University Games together. He grew up in an environment where his club team did singles all year, never did doubles, never did more than 4,000 yards of practice, right? And he was the fastest backstroker coming out of high school going into college. And so he had a lot of success doing that. So I've seen those things. Now, on the flip side, he had much more of a transition coming into college and making the transition into training more. But then to argue against that point, sounds like Allie's coming home. Hey, furries. My dogs are barking. I don't know if you can hear them. But to argue against that point, I think, I'm going off on a tangent here. I'm going to stop. But basically, everyone's different. There are certain people who have, a lot of it's based on your anatomy. Some people who are really, really bulky and really big and thick, they probably can't do as many yards as someone who is built like my friend Grayson Smith, who's stick and bone skinny and can just go, right? Everyone's different. And so it's crazy how often I get asked that question when are we being overtrained? When are we training too much? How do I know? Like, I don't have the answer to that. I can only speak from my experiences, and I'll keep speaking from my experience, but people need to be, when they ask me this question, just really, really specific and understand that. So I have no idea if that was helpful in any way. Now that I think about it, I don't know. I don't know if that was helpful at all. But yeah, I came from a program that grinds, and I'm really, really proud of that and happy with that. But there's a lot of ways to train, and people get better all over the place. So thank you for the question. And our next question today comes to us from Adam Clark, who says, "Hi, Cody. I have only recently started swimming properly, and as something I seriously want to do. Problem being that I am already 17, so I was wondering if by this point, is it too late? I was also wondering if you could give any advice to new swimmers when it comes to swimming terminology." And then you go to ask about certain things that I say in my vlog. Yeah, so okay, to answer the second part of your question first, about swimming lingo, there are a lot of people who ask what certain terms mean when I say things in my vlogs. Someone's got to send me an email specifically asking what words they're talking about, because it's hard for me to imagine not being in the swimming world. So I'm trying to empathize with someone who hasn't grown up swimming for 20 years like me. So like, I just say things and expect everyone around me to understand, right? So you're going to have to be more specific on that. But someone send me an email asking all those things, and I'll try to do a breakdown of that, because it's weird. There are people who watch my vlogs who aren't like real swimmers, who haven't swam a lot, and that's like super cool. And I want to cater to those people too. Like, I want to be able to explain things in a way that those people understand it too. So yeah, anyway, okay. But the first part of your question about being a new swimmer, is it too late? Absolutely not. I started swimming young. I started swimming at like age 10. I started swimming a lot around that age. But there are other national team swimmers who did not. Like I often point to one of my competitors, Kevin Cordes. He started swimming much later, like not till he was like 16. Not really seriously till he was like 16. And he became an Olympic swimmer, an Olympic medalist. And there are a lot of people like that didn't start swimming until a lot later in life. Rowdy Gaines, the great Rowdy Gaines, the great swimming commentator, one of my buddies, he didn't start swimming until high school, you know? And he actually had a coach tell him that he would never be very good. And jokes on him, he became an Olympic champion. So it's never too late. Thank you for the question. All right. And that will do it for our main topics today. Once again, if you guys have a main topic that you want to get answered here on the Cody Miller Show, please send me an email to thecodymillershow@gmail.com. And maybe your topic, just maybe, will show up on my show. And now on to our second portion of the show. This is the Instagram portion of the show, where I just take questions. Make sure you guys are following me on Instagram, just @CodyMiller. And when I ask for questions, read that little caption. When I ask for questions, send them on in there, and maybe your question will show up on the show. Okay, and our first question today comes to us from Anderson Church, who asks, have you ever been pulled over by the cops? Yes, I have a number of times. 2 times come to mind. Legitimately, the second week I got my driver's license, I got pulled over. And I remember growing up in Nevada, there was a law in the state of Nevada that said for the first 6 months of having your driver's license, you were not allowed to drive in the car with anyone in the car except for immediate family members. So like my brothers, sisters, whoever, but only immediate family members. And I remember I was giving one of my teammates, actually my girlfriend at the time, I was giving my girlfriend a ride to swim practice. And I was on the freeway. I was on the 215. I was on this downhill slope part where I wasn't intentionally speeding. Like I wasn't flying, I wasn't hurried, but I was definitely speeding. And I should have braked, because as we were going down, my car was picking up speed, and I got pulled over. And I mean, I have never been more scared. Like I was like I was so nervous. Like my heart sank, because I knew that I basically was breaking the law. Like I had my teammate, my girlfriend in the car on our way to swim practice. She was not supposed to be riding with me. But the cop pulled me over and gave me a warning. It didn't say anything about her riding the car with me. It just didn't say anything. So they didn't even notice. And I was like, oh, thank God. So I didn't get a ticket. And then recently, before I got my new car, I've been pulled over quite a few times, actually, like a bunch of times. Recently, before I got my new car, my plates had expired, and they were expired by like just a couple of days. And I got pulled over, and Allie was in the car with me. And I was like, Allie and I definitely rolled through. Like there's this stop sign at this intersection around the corner from my house that I have a bad habit of just kind of rolling through. I probably shouldn't admit this on the internet, but I kind of rolled through. And so I kind of rolled through it, and then I stopped. Like I caught myself because I saw the police officer, and then I kept going, and immediately like I knew, I was like, okay, we're getting pulled over, and the lights are on, and Allie's like, you're gonna get a ticket, you're gonna get a ticket, and I could not believe this, but the police officer came up and asked me if I was the swimmer, and I was like, oh yes, I am, and he didn't give me a ticket. And Allie was so mad. She was like, that is such BS. Any normal person would have been given a ticket in this situation. You're getting priority treatment. This is blah, blah. And I'm like, yeah, that was, so like that came in handy. Like that, just to clarify, that doesn't happen very often. Most of the time, nobody knows swam, and that's the best. That's cool. That's what we like. But in that situation, it worked out great. It just so happens that, I mean, Bloomington's a relatively small town. There's not a lot of people here. So anyway, thank you to that police officer for giving me just a warning. I have not rolled through that stop sign since. And my plates are up to date now, so we're good. But yeah, I've been pulled over quite a few times. Great question. Very funny. I like taking off-brand questions. Those are fun. Okay. And our next question comes to us from Izzy Whalen, who asks, when do you think you'll retire? From competitive swimming, who knows? Maybe after 2020, maybe after 2022. No, not after 2020. I'll go through 2021 for sure. Maybe 2022. I don't really know. I honestly just want to take it 1 year at a time. And I feel like there will definitely become a point in my life where I'm still competitively swimming, but it's not the central focus of my life. And I will be doing other things, other business ventures, other cool things that I'm excited about, where I'll still be competitively swimming, but it won't be like, I'm not putting my all into it, kind of like I am right now, right? Like YouTube right now is just a fun thing that I do on the side. I make these videos, and it's been wonderful because it has provided me a level of financial support, which is wonderful and has helped me tremendously. And quite honestly, like YouTube is gonna help me continue to swim, because if I can, if I can continue to make it financially responsible to keep swimming, if I can continue to make it financially responsible for me to swim, be it me having sponsors through swimming, be it me making money through prize money from swimming, and there's not a lot of that, but it's getting better, or just being able to find ways to make money through YouTube with without like overcompensating and without diminishing or tarnishing the content that I'm creating, then that's a win, right? Then that's a good thing. So as long as I can, the answer to your question is as long as I can. I don't really know, and I don't want to think about that, but I know that I'll be involved in swimming in some capacity pretty much for the rest of my life, I believe, because I just love it. It's given me so much, it's, and I don't want to retire. I don't want to retire. So yeah, thanks for the question. And our next question comes to us from Myla Beanin. I'm really bad at this. When will you come out with a new podcast? Oh, yeah, the podcast. I've really been slacking on that lately. I'm sorry. Blake and I are 100% doing one soon. Next week, at the latest, for sure. Going to do it. And I want to get to the point where I do a podcast every other week. That would be the goal, because I get a lot of people asking for that, because I can only do so much and convey so much in the vlog. I love the podcast medium where you can really sit down and really listen to kind of a campfire style conversation and really learn. Like, I listen to a lot of podcasts. I really, really enjoy them. And if there are people out there who want to listen to me and other swimmers or other people talk about swimming or whatever, then, and they get something from that, right? Either they're learning something, or they're appreciating something, or they're critiquing something, or it's a form of entertainment and enjoyment and whatever. If I can provide that, and then great. Right? Then everybody wins. And that's what we're shooting for. Okay. All right. Next question of the day. We've only got about 3 more here. Comes from Alex. Alex. I'm just going with Alex. Alex says, what was your favorite swimming memory that doesn't have anything to do with swimming? Ooh, my favorite swimming memory that doesn't have anything to do with swimming. Well, the first thing that comes to mind is growing up in Vegas, we would often swim in Southern California, because all of our swimming was in Southern California. And there was this pool called the Belmont Plaza Pool, and it was on the beach. And we would go to the swim meet and swim our races, and afterwards we would walk outside and just straight up play on the beach for the rest of the day. And that was like, and I have so many memories with my friends playing on the beach, and that was so much fun. I see someone in the chat board saying, can you do a podcast with James? Yes, I can, whenever James comes and visits me, or whenever I visit James, for sure. Great question. Thank you for that. Yeah, but that's the memory that comes to my mind. Okay. One more question. This will be the last question. Sancho Joe 17 says, is it possible to go pro even if you swim on a master's team? Hashtag the Cody Miller Show. Yeah, absolutely. I don't see why not. If you say you swim on a master's team, I assume that means you're older, but maybe it doesn't. Maybe you're just a high school kid who swims on a master team. I don't know. I quite honestly don't know a whole lot about master swimming, but let's just define what going pro in swimming means. All going pro in swimming means is you forfeit your eligibility to compete in the NCAA so that you can basically receive funding. That's all it means. So technically, anyone who doesn't swim in the NCAA can be a pro swimmer. Now, I would take it a step further, and then I would only consider someone a pro swimmer if they can financially support themselves doing just that, right? Like if they can make a living swimming, then you're a professional swimmer. Be it from sponsorships, be it from winnings, whatever, then you're a pro swimmer. But to basically ask your question, could you become a pro swimmer from swimming with a master's team? Yeah, you can get good at swimming. You can be a great swimmer training or doing whatever, with a high school team, with a college team, with a club team, like whatever. Like there are no limitations on those kinds of things, none whatsoever. So yeah. Okay. And on that note, that's going to wrap it up today, guys. I got a bunch of things I got to go do. I've actually got to head over to Blake's right now. Blake literally just bought a new house, like just about a mile, not even a mile away from here, just a few blocks away from here. And he needs me to help him move some stuff in his place. So I got to go do that. I've got a bunch of other things I'm getting ready for. I've got the FINA Championship Series meet here in Indianapolis this weekend, which I'm super excited about. It's going to be really fun. If anybody's there, come say hey. It's going to be cool. I'm excited. I swim the 100 breaststroke Friday night. I'm really looking forward to that. It'll be interesting to talk about my thoughts and feelings on that meet and this new series and what it's doing for the sport and all those things. So I think it'll be great. So also tomorrow's Wednesday, so new vlog tomorrow. Get excited for that. I think it's a good one. I think you guys are going to like it. I hope so. And yeah, on that note, as always, make sure you guys subscribe to this YouTube channel. If you're watching this, you probably already have, but please do that. Please share my channel with your friends. Share my swimming videos with your friends. The more this channel grows, as I talked about earlier, that will really help me. That will very much help me. I appreciate that. Make sure you guys are following me on social media at Swim Miller on Twitter and at Cody Miller on Instagram. Once again, vlog tomorrow, Wednesday. Every single Wednesday, you can count on it. There will be a vlog. The Cody Miller Show live stream every single week, just kind of whenever I can right now. Once again, once I hammer down a time and know exactly when I'll be able to do this each week, I will let you know so that people can try to watch it live. Yeah, and I think that's about it. So on that note, everybody, thank you for watching. And until my next video, I will see you guys later. And